Hello and welcome back everyone to this live demo session on SAP UI5 and Fiori training with me Anubhav on SAP BTP Business Application Studio. In this live demo session today, we are going to learn about basics of SAP UI5 followed by a live demo in the system. This training is designed for an absolute beginner, a college fresher or a SAP consultant who would willing to learn SAP UI5 and Fiori development from scratch. We will be learning the different tools like VS Code and Business Application Studio as part of this training. My name is Anubhav and I have total 20 years of experience in the field of SAP with a total of 18 years of experience in the training. Since last 12 years, I am training on SAP UI5 and Fiori to consultants across the globe on the technologies like BTP, DataSphere, Analytics Cloud, UI5 Fiori, SAP BTP CAP development, RAP development, ABAP, WebDintro, and more. These days, I am working majorly on the SAP's cloud technologies powered by Business Technology Platform with the tools like Business Application Studio. With that, it's a brief introduction on myself. Let's move on and understand the agenda of this training today. So, in this demo session today, you will see who is this training for. We will talk about an overview of this training. What is that you can expect in the next 40 hours of this course? We will discuss our demo use case and finally some of the FAQs. Having said that, let's first start with understanding who is this training for. So if you're working like Joy, who's a UX designer, currently designing the UI mockups for the company and would like to start developing SAP UI5 application in his company, this training is going to help him. If you're working like Becky, who's a fresher out of college, have no experience so far, but aspire to become an SAP UI5 consultant or a SAP full stack developer, UI5 training is the first step towards that journey. If you're working like Remo, who's a technical consultant already working in industry and would like to now learn the latest SAP UI5 technology, he already have experience on working other technologies like React or Angular but would want to work on the SAP's UI5 technology, this training is also going to help him. Finally, if you're an application developer, an ABAP consultant, a portal or a CRM consultant, or an SAP consultant working in the field of SAP and would like to learn how to build Fiori applications on ECC or on S4 HANA, or for example, other SAP solutions like SuccessFactor, Fieldglass, Ariba, Concur, By Design, Business One. This training is going to help you to become well versed with Fiori development. So, now let's talk about the overview of this training. What can you expect in the 40 hour of this journey? We will first start with fundamentals of SAP UI5. You will learn about the core concepts of HTML, CSS, JS, jQuery. We will also set up all the required development tools like VS Code, UI5 tooling, and Business Application Studio. In the phase 2 of this course, we will understand the UI5 framework, the software development kit provided by SAP to learn how to build end-to-end application with MVC architecture. In the third phase, we will discuss about Fiori user experience, how to use SAP's mobile library with latest concepts to build end-to-end Fiori applications in the company. Finally, in the last stage, we will talk about OData development, how to build applications on top of the data which is exposed out of your current ERP system, be it ECC or S4 HANA, and build end-to-end user interfaces with the OData services. We will understand the complete life cycle of Fiori applications, starting from design to development to testing to packaging, deployment, and transporting the application to the production system. Along with that, you will see how to use Git and GitHub to share the source code with fellow colleagues. Having said that, let's understand the broad overview of this course. This course of 40-hour training is designed for an absolute beginner in ABAP developer who have never ever worked on UI5 yet aspire to transform their career from a traditional dialogue programmer or a WebDin programmer to a Fiori UX developer, building beautiful Fiori experiences for your end users as well as for your customers and clients. That will be the ultimate goal of this journey. So, let's get started and understand what we got you for today. So, in our today's session, we will first start our development tool, which is Business Application Studio. We will initialize our first UI5 project from scratch. Then we will talk about a brief on model view controller to create a very simple view for our end user. And then we will be testing our application on Business Application Studio to run our app. So that will be the goal of our today's demo session. So let's get started and understand what is SAP UI5. SAP UI5 is a framework to develop responsive web applications. What is a framework? A framework is nothing but it's a collection of libraries, classes. So what is a library? A library is a collection of classes. What is a class? Class is a collection of attributes, functions, events, and aggregation. So all in all, if you look at SAP UI5 is broadly a collection of lot of classes. For example, button class. Create a button, text to create a simple display text, input field, video button, check boxes, drop downs, select controls, tables, charts, and so on. So what do we do with these classes? We create object of these classes to ultimately create our user experience for the end users. Basically, you would want to build an application which will work on all devices, all platforms, and all browsers. Now, what is responsive? So, a responsive web application is which is written once and can be executed on any device. It will automatically adapt according to devices. So, that is what exactly a responsive web application is all about. So SAP's UI5 framework allows us to build applications which can work on any browser and any device. That's the main USP as compared to other SAP UI technologies like SAP GUI or WebDin Pro because UI5 have ability to run on the mobile phones as well. So now before we start developing UI5, we need to understand what is that a developer need. So always as a developer, you will need a development tool to build your application. So in our case, when it comes to UI5, there are two development tools which are dominantly used by developers. One of the tool is called Business Application Studio tool, BAS tool, and the second one is called VS Code tool. In our training, I will be teaching both the tool setup, installation, and configuration. In fact, we will also compare them. The BAS tool is available on SAP's BTP platform. So we will be also learning that as part of our training, how to set up that. For our demo session today, I have already set up the BAS tool so that I can show you creating an application. So when you want to develop an application in SAP UI5, you can start with BAS tool. So let me switch over to the BAS tool. This is how the experience would look like for the BAS tool, just like any other tool where we would like to build an application. And I can get started with a application from template. So we are living in 21st century where most of the tools are becoming more and more powerful. Rather than you writing everything from scratch, you can utilize these tools to generate your basic skeleton of the project. We can create a Fiori application now, and then we will choose start. System would then ask us to choose a template, what kind of application we would like to create. So for this demonstration today, we will choose a freestyle Fiori application. We click on next button, and now we choose a data source. So where do we want to get our data from? If we do have a connection to our SAP system, we can load the data from there. For time being, I'll say none, because I don't want to load data in this demo today from an external system. Then moving on to the next step, we will provide the basic detail about our project, like what's the view name. So a view is nothing but the screen what user will see. It is inspired from model view controller architecture, which I will explain it in a minute in a nutshell. So let's provide the view name as main view. And now I will provide the project attributes. So let's go ahead and provide project attributes. Let's say UI5 demo. So I'm creating a UI5 demo. For time being, I'm happy, and let me generate my application. So you will see the system is generating the application. In our actual training, I'm not going to do that. We will be writing every file, every object, or every folder manually, and we will be doing no copy paste of code. So let me open the generated folder. As it's a demo session, I'm using the wizard to generate to save a little bit of time. But in the actual training session, you will learn about all these aspects, like what are these files which are created, like UI5 YAML, manifest, package JSON, everything I will explain you in detail when we go to our next session onwards. All right, so now you can see it has created a very simple project structure. It is inspired from MVC architecture. So let's understand what is MVC, or Model View Controller Architecture, or in short MVC. So MVC, or Model View Controller Architecture, is used whenever we want to develop any UI applications. It is not specific to SAP. Rather, it's a design pattern used across industry whenever we have any UI applications to be developed. So according to MVC, the first component is the view. View is our input output with which our user will interact. Now, whenever user will interact with the view, user will perform some activities over there, and on click of these activities, for example, user click on a button. So we'll be putting our button inside, and whenever user does that, an event gets created. That is what happens. And then the event will trigger the call to the controller. Yes, this is where we write all our processing logic, our business logic. So inside the controller, we will have an event handler, which is nothing but it's a function. It's an essential function. Now, after that, what happens is if there is a need of data to be modified, then the controller will call our model. So model is the place where we keep all our business data for the application. So you can see it's a very modular approach to develop an application. The controller will inform the model to modify the data, and once the data is modified, it will be notified by the model to the controller again. And finally, the changes gets applied on the UI, like data gets loaded. So this is called MVC, Model View Controller Architecture. So if you look at the generated application, it has gotcha a view, and inside the view, we can start adding our business logic. We can right click and open this in the layout editor mode to easily start adapting our application. And without writing too much of coding, we can build our application right here inside the controller, inside the view. So it will open a layout editor for us now in the system. You can see the layout editor is loading. In my first episode tomorrow, I will show you how to set up this Business Application Studio tool in your laptop as well. So you all will be able to do the hands-on along with us in the training. As today it was a demo session, I already had this tool ready in my laptop. So now what I will do, you can see this is how our screen for the mobile user look like. I would just add a button by dragging and dropping the button over there, and let's provide a text property. Click me. Nice. I would also just search for an input field to add an input field on the screen. There you go. And I can just give the ID for this element. Let's say Anubhav. So that's the ID of my input field which I created. I would want to also rearrange my elements so I can actually quite easily move them, cut and paste them, or move them on the UI the way I want. So I can rearrange the elements as well. Now over here, we will provide a default value as blank, and we will also reduce a bit of the width of this input field, let's say to 20% of the page. Yeah. So this way we can just go ahead and change multiple properties for our particular element on the UI. You can see here with this, I'll change it to 20% and the field become little smaller now. Perfect. So now what I want to do, whenever I enter some data in this field Anubhav, I want to show that data on the screen as a print when I click the button. So for the button, we will have the logic written inside the controller. So you can see for this view, we have the controller. We can go to controller and we can write the business logic in the controller as per the design. So whenever user click, an event triggers, and here we will have an event handler. So let's do that. I will just say on click function, and in this I will write my logic. So let's put here, and I will come back to write my logic. So what is the logic I'm going to write? So first of all, in step number one, I will get the object of our input field. So my input field was named as Anubhav. So we will just say use a function built in SAP UI5 called SAP UI get code dot, or we can just first get our view object because the input field is inside the view. So I will say this dot get view dot by ID. Please, hey computer, go to my view, and there is a element with the name Anubhav in my view. Please get that for me. So I will pass the name of the element. So this is how I get the object of my field. Let's store this object in a variable var object of field. And in step number two, we will get the value from that field. So for which we will again create another variable string value my field object dot get value function. So in our unit number 11, I will teach you how do I use this function available in SAP UI5. So SAP provide SDK. We will cover that in unit 11 in our training. In unit 10, in our training, we will talk about this APIs available in UI5 to get our objects. So all of that we will be discussing in our training in detail. Okay, next step is to show this data to the user. So we will use a built-in function to display data to the user. So there we go and say alert, and I pass the value that we are passing. So that is how we will display the data to the user on the screen. Fantastic. So that is my logic. And now what I will do, I will attach this logic to my button. So here is my button. And what I'm going to do, I will just attach this logic to my button. So I right click and say go to code. And here is my button where I will put a action called press and attach my event handler for this press action. In unit number 13, I will explain you how I know that there is a press action for the button. Cool. So we are ready now. It's time to test our application, which is fairly simple. So you have to just go back and choose here the package JSON file, and then there is a start script. So in unit number 7, I will explain what is package JSON file and what is start script. All of that will be covered as part of our training. But for now, let's start the application to test it on the browser. So I start the application, it's booting up, and there you go. It is now launching a application preview for us where our application should get loaded with all the necessary components. There you go. You can see our mobile application is ready, and let's type anubhavtrainings.com. That's our official website, and I click the button to display the same. Wow, awesome. So this is how we can create a very simple user interface with a simple view and a controller using SAP UI5, and of course the UI5 controls using layout editor. How simple was that? So with the help of this technique, we are able to create in just 30 minutes a very small interface for our business user. So with that, let's move on to some of the frequently asked questions by all of you on my YouTube channel regarding the batches on UI5. So what will be the duration of this training and what are the prerequisites? So the duration of this training is 40 hours and there are no prerequisites to attend this training except basic programming skills. So that is how you can attend this training of next 40 hours. The timing does not suit me. Can I go with video mode training? Absolutely, you can opt for video mode training for our most recent batch and ask your questions over the email. This option also applies to those who would like to fast track their learning and don't want to wait for the live batch to complete because you have an urgent requirement in your organization. So you can opt for video mode training as well of our recently completed batch. What tools are we going to use in this training and how do I get them? So we will be utilizing the VS Code and Business Application Studio tool. In my next class, I will guide you how to set up and install all the tools, including necessary dependencies in your laptop. VS Code is absolutely free for a single developer. BAS tool is also available in a trial mode for you, so you can practice for free. What about server access to practice OData? So server access will be required in the last 10 session of this training for practicing OData to expose your ERP data. In session number 29, we will be guiding you how to get the OData system access. But for now, it's not important. Will you also cover the BTP basics? Absolutely. This training covers basics of BTP so that you can get enrolled on your BTP trial account to get started with the development. Will you cover the real time scenario? Absolutely. This training covers end to end real time scenarios, case study, including how to consume your SAP data from your SAP system, deploy and deliver applications to production system. So this is a real time training. I am new to UI5. Can I learn? Anyone can learn UI5. Even you can also learn. This course is designed for an absolute fresher out of college or a beginner or a professional who have zero knowledge on UI5 in prior. Because in this training, we will cover the basics of HTML5, CSS, JS and jQuery for you, which are prerequisites to build freestyle application. If I miss a class, how do I refer? So every session will get recorded and you can watch the video recording after the class is complete. We will be providing you an exclusive portal access through which you will be able to download the material and watch the video recordings of the classes. You will have 8 months of access to those video recordings. What is the process to enroll for this training? The process is very simple. You just have to drop us an email on contact@anubhavtrainings.com to join this course. With that, thank you so much for attending this demo session today. I hope you enjoyed creating your first user interface with Business Application Studio tool. It was a short demo from my side to cover a bit of basics, but as and when we deep dive in our training, we will cover all of these things in detail, step by step. Once again, thank you so much. Please drop us an email on contact@anubhavtrainings.com to sign up for this training, and I hope to see you in my next class tomorrow at the same time. Till then, code well, my friends. See you and goodbye.